Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DFS Jags Fantasy Football Show. Week 9, we're going to recap Week 9, get into some waiver wires, and of course, answer questions all along the way. Joining me tonight, and obviously you'll be like, hey, where's Rick? Rick is traveling once again. He's living the life.
Can't keep track of the guy.
I know, right? He's all over the place, but he'll be back next week. I'm Mike Thornton. Joining me is one of the staples of the show, as always, Chris Caldwell. And then we have a special guest this week. Joining us is Jake Podger from the Buffalo Show on the weekends with me. So I'll start with you, Chris. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm well. Spent last week traveling to California. Nice having dinner with you, Mike, and meeting you, and played some nice golf courses with Rick. Watched him shoot his best round of his life at Torrey Pines. So yeah, it was a pretty good week.
Yeah, I was telling Jake that it was cool. I mean, I went back to Buffalo 2 Fridays ago and got to meet him, and then I flew back here to California, got to meet you. So I've now officially met everyone in person that's part of the show, so that was super cool. All we got to do is get Jake and you together. Now, you guys are pretty close. You're like a 45-minute trip away on a plane, so maybe we can figure something out there. Jake, thanks for joining us tonight. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing phenomenal, Mike. I think I'm officially recovered from the loss. It was a tough one. Luckily, we got, a diehard fan base here. Everyone kind of rallied together, and we're ready to move on. Chris, I'm sure you just had a phenomenal week. It's been quite different here in Buffalo, but we're ready for the Jets. You guys are playing the Dolphins, so I hope you get a big win. I don't like that I don't want a big win for our sake in terms of the seeding, but always good when you beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do our best. So I'm actually, I'm flying down there tomorrow morning. I think this is my third time to Dolphin Stadium. It's always nice to take a vacation to Miami, right? So, yeah. So we'll be cheering on the purple down there, and we'll throw them a loss for you guys.
Love it. Sounds good, man.
All right, guys. Well, let's get into the first game we're going to talk about this week, and that is the Jets and the Colts. Colts win this one 45-30. Lots of points on the board there. I mean, it doesn't seem to matter if you're not Zach Wilson. Whoever the Jets seem to put back there behind center is putting up some numbers. I mean, Mike White goes out injured, and Josh Johnson comes in, throws for 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris, talk to me about this game. And of course, it features one of your favorite players that you've talked about even before the season started with Jonathan Taylor, running back there for the Colts. So let me throw it over the fence to you and talk to us about this game.
Yeah, before Rick logs onto the chat and can get started, I have to say it yet again. Carson Wentz looked really good, and he's going to hate me for saying that, but you can't argue with it at this point. He's putting up solid numbers, and he's leading his team to victory. So that Thursday night was, largely on the back of Jonathan Taylor. Guy had 200 total yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 catches in the receiving game. They're getting him involved all over the field, and he just has absolutely game-breaking speed. He recorded the fastest time in week 9, the fastest sprint speed in week 9 on that. I think it was like a 70-yard touchdown run, something like that. So guy's absolutely incredible, comes from great college pedigree, and he's showing us why he's easily top 5 running back in the NFL at this point. So if you have him, you're riding him very, very comfortably as a very high-end RB1 rest of the year. And Wentz is really working his way into you can use him as a spot starter. In a 2 QB league, you're playing him pretty much every week. In a 1 QB league, I think you're even thinking about it at this point when he has nice matchups. He's taking care of the ball, and he's really racking up the touchdowns. So and he officially has an elite wide receiver. I said last year, I think you can fire up Pittman as a top end wide receiver 2 for the rest of the year. I don't know, man. I think it's at this point a wide receiver 1. I mean, the guy is just he's incredible week after week. He's showing no signs of slowing, and Wentz just locks onto him. So I don't know what more you want. The guy is just doing it. It's not a fluke whatsoever. He's making big plays. He's making possession plays. He's doing it all. So if you're in a dynasty type league and you got Pittman on the cheap last year, I mean, you're absolutely loving that right now. As for the Jets, Mike, you alluded to it. Every Jets quarterback this year has looked great except for Zach Wilson. So I don't know what's going on with them. It's once Mike White got hurt, he started the game off really well and had that, wrist or arm injury. And you said, well, there it goes. The Colts are going to blow him out. But damn it, if like 35-year-old Josh Johnson didn't come out of nowhere and keep him in that game, that was actually really cool to watch. He got his rookie wide receiver, Elijah Moore, really involved. Talk about Elijah Moore a lot more on the waiver wire later, but I don't know. I'm getting Justin Jefferson flashbacks from last year where, a receiver came on slow, had a, decent game here and there. And then around like week 7 or 8, week 9, really took off. So I don't know if we'll get quite to that level, but Elijah Moore, elite prospect in college and is finally getting his opportunity here. So I think he's definitely someone to pay attention to the rest of the year. Just a couple more ads on the Jets. Michael Carter, he doesn't blow up this game like he did last week, but it's now 4 games in a row that he has a very serviceable game, and he's getting tons of work in the passing game, and he's easily the RB1 there. And I never thought I'd say that I think you can actually start 2 Jets running backs because Maryland's own Ty Johnson is looking great. I mean, when he's getting his carries, he's looking very bursty. They use him around the goal line. And best of all, he looks outstanding in the passing game. So, you have Mike White, if Joe Flacco ever gets playing time, he's like captain check down too. So Mike White loves the running backs. Flacco does. Josh Johnson was even hitting them. So as long as we can keep Zach Wilson on the sidelines, we have tons of production from the Jets. So
are they the best 1-2 punch since Sean Green and LT? I don't know. Maybe.
It's up there. It's
bold statement. Bold statement.
So this offense, I'm pleasantly surprised by this offense, and I say they have like a offensive system. I mean, Robert Saleh comes from 49ers, learns under Shanahan, and it looks like if he's putting up points like this with Mike White and Josh Johnson, it says a lot. So, most people thought the Jets were duds this year, and damn it, if they aren't hanging in games and putting up some points, it's impressive.
Yeah, and we have to worry about them this week as the Bills travel there. And Mike White, we have heard is going to be the starter. Mm-hmm. So that injury wasn't that bad to keep him out a week. But Jake, your thoughts and any comments you have on the Jets versus Colts?
Really nice to see Elijah Moore. Everyone was talking about his game-breaking ability, and it's starting to show. So I think better late than never, obviously. We're at week 10 right now, and the Jets need a playmaker like that. They can't just rely on Jamison Crowder nonstop. They can't rely on Braxton Berrios. I mean, now you got Elijah Moore. Denzel Mims still kind of hanging out there. I don't know what his deal is either. And Ryan Griffin, too. I mean, Tyler Kroft, the 2 tight ends. I mean, they were starting to get involved a touch more. I think Ryan Griffin scored. Not necessarily fantasy plays by any means, but it's interesting to see this Jets offense starting to roll a little bit and score some points. So, something to keep an eye on, but ain't happening this week. This week is going to be tough. Maybe the 2 running backs are potential starts, Elijah Moore as well, but everyone else, I'm not really too sure about.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a pissed off Bills team this week. Yeah. I was thinking today, I own Michael Carter quite a lot of places. So I was thinking, what am I going to do with him? But I'm thinking game flow wise, Mike White is starting quarterback. You got to think the Bills are going to put up a lead, in the first half, going into the second half on this one.
God and willing, Chris. Oh my gosh.
in the 2 games Mike White's played, he can't stop throwing the ball to Michael Carter. So even though on paper the Bills really shut down running backs, I think for the game flow of this game and the the recency of Mike White just being addicted to Michael Carter, I think he's a good play this week.
I love it. I agree.
Oh, good stuff. Before we move on to the next game, and by the way, I had Carson Wentz, and I'm in a league where you start 2 quarterbacks, and I'm regretting letting them go early in the season. I actually had to face him.
Listen to Rick, man.
I know.
Yikes.
I did listen to Rick. No, I was just in a crunch for some other players, and he hadn't really. He's been getting better and better each week, but yeah, disappointed. Anyhow, we have a question out there from Paul Brinkle. Paul, thank you for joining the channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button,
Paul,
please do. But I'll pass this over to you guys. Chris, if you want to go through his question there.
Cool. Paul's question is favorite QB screaming options for the week. I have one that I like the most by far. I'm not sure he's even considered a streaming option anymore, but I'm all about Derek Carr this week.
Thank you.
Yeah, he last year he played well against the Chiefs, both games. He threw 3 touchdowns against them both times. He's at home. The Chiefs are, dare I say, reeling at this point. But their defense is just worse than their offense, which says a lot. I'm absolutely in love with Derek Carr this week. So if he is an option, I like him. And why don't you give me your top one, Jake?
You kind of took him right from me. So I'm scrambling right now, Chris.
I got one more if you want to think on it for a second.
Yeah. Give me a second.
Okay.
Give me a second.
I have one, and this is, if you're in a deeper league or a 2 QB league and you're semi-desperate for someone, I'm actually going to go against my own team here. I think Tua is not a bad play this week. The Ravens defense has been low-key dog shit all year. We're giving up big plays left and right. The Dolphins are going to be trailing. So I'm not saying he's going to light up the scoreboard, but I think if you're desperate, Tua's probably sitting out there. He's been hurt recently. And, people look and say, oh, the Ravens, I don't want any QB against them. False. You want all the QBs against the Ravens. So it's going to be a game, should have a decent amount of points. So in a pinch, you could do worse than Tua.
I'm going to say a name that you're probably going to be like, what the hell is this guy saying? But I'm going to go back to last year in the playoffs, wild card, almost a huge upset. My guy, Taylor Heineke, comes out slinging it. The guy's mobile. He can get you some rushing yards. I know he's playing Tampa's D, but guy likes to hit his check down guys, J.D. McKissick. He still has Antonio Gibson. He has Terry McLaurin. I think they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. So it's a potential, definitely a deeper league option for sure. If Derek Carr is available, you take that guy 100%. But honestly, I'm a big Taylor Heineke guy. This might be kind of risky play here. Like I said, it's a deeper league option for sure. If it's a 2 quarterback league, absolutely. But that's my thought there.
No, I'm with you, dude, because Tampa's defense is good, but their front 7 is what's good. Their secondary is awful.
Trash.
So,
and they're banged up too.
And the whole thing is does he get the time to throw? So, and you said it, they're going to be trailing. The secondary's banged up. So they're not going to have any success running the ball in this game. So I'm with you on Heineke. Nice call.
Love it.
All right, job. Good job.
By the way, Paul,
Yeah.
just to give you guys some background, he is in my fantasy league. So I don't know what he's doing here. You know what I mean? I told him to join. I said, hey, if you want to check me out on Fantasy Wire here, we can rattle off some questions here, but
all right. Well, thanks for joining and thanks for the question, Paul. Appreciate you. I did want to mention one last thing on this game. Chris, we don't have to go into it too deep, but I always like to do research and what we talked about on our AFC over-under show that we did. And when we got to the Colts, the over-under was 9. And you predicted that was one of the layups for this year. It was like between them and the Steelers. The other 2 guys, Rick and Tony, were like, no way that's going to happen. But you were big on them. And in theory, they should have at least 1 or 2 more wins. They should have beat your team, the Ravens. And
absolutely.
Right?
They had 99% chance of winning that game.
Right.
yeah, oh my gosh.
So it's always interesting to look back. And then you said, and we're spot on. Jonathan Taylor running behind one of the best offensive lines. Not only do we have the Jets coming up this week, we have the Colts coming up in a few weeks. So we're going to have our hands full.
I will be there.
For sure. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Jake will be there. So good
Yeah,
stuff
the Colts, I think, started 0-4, and now they're 4-5. and they should easily be 5-4, and you could probably hang another win on that too. I'm still, the over-under was 9. I'm not scared. I think they're still going to hit that. Wentz is coming into his own. Taylor's absolutely hit his stride. The offensive line is top 3 in football. The defense plays good, and they're well coached. I just love solid teams like that. So I'm sticking by my call there.
All right, I like it.
I like that.
All right, let's move on to the next game. This is one of there were a bunch of surprises, not a bunch, but 2 or 3 surprises on the board this week, and this is one of them. Broncos, Cowboys. Broncos rushed for 190 yards, and they really contained that high-powered offense of the Cowboys. So, Jake, tell me a little bit about this game.
So First off, I just want to say I'm a little bitter about this one, especially because, first off, I had a 2 for this week. My Bills lost, and then I'm kicked out of my survivor pool. So my survivor pick was the Cowboys this week, and they totally screwed me over. So hats off to them for that. Secondly, I will say this, one positive from Dallas. Micah Parsons is a monster. The guy is absolutely insane. He had 2.5 sacks. Can he play every position on the field? Probably. Keep that guy, protect him at all costs. I would just sign him right now to an insane deal because he's going to be worth it in the end. Guy's insane. He's a maniac. Secondly, yes, the run game. Wow. It took, it's interesting because these 2 backs, Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, they've sort of been like 40 to 50 yard guys here and there. And then you'll have one go off and the other kind of just do not much. So I have Melvin Gordon on on 2 of my teams. And it's always so hard to judge whether to play him each week. He's always like borderline for me. And actually, I played Cole Beasley over him this week, Chris. And I think if Cole would have stayed in the game, and he had 8 for 33, which is nuts. But anyways, going back to Melvin Gordon, he had 81 yards and a touchdown, and then he had 2 catches. He actually seems to be getting more targets as a receiving back. But Javonte Williams with 111 yards and absolutely running through that defense. Wow. He looks like we expected him to look. So that running game is insane. Pretty happy to see that, obviously. In Denver, you'll love to see it. And it's nice because I think that is where Teddy Bridgewater can thrive. He needs a good running game to kind of help back him up. And Teddy Two Gloves was slinging it. He only threw for 249 yards and a tutter. But very interesting stuff. Tim Patrick, he always just seems to burst onto the scene randomly, and then he disappears for a few weeks. But he's always good for a random play and a total necessary bye week play. If you have to play someone, you can maybe count on him for a touchdown here or there. So it's always interesting there. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. What a receiving core they are. They didn't really do much, both of them, obviously, but always interesting plays. I think Jerry Jeudy actually is almost the safer play, and Cortland Sutton is kind of the big play guy. But man, that offense looks dangerous. They actually look pretty good. They're so well balanced, and they got a lot of young playmakers on the team. So that was impressive.
They're 5-4, man. They're not out of anything yet.
I know it. Yeah. They started off 3-0, then they kind of dipped down a little bit, and now I think they're back. Vic Fangio, he's on the hot seat and everything. People are talking about him, this, that, and other. But the Broncos look good, man. They look pretty solid. And I want to give a shout out too for my guy Von Miller, his replacement, who came out there and freaking tore it up. Jonathan Cooper, the outside linebacker out of Ohio State, 7th round pick. Guy had 2 sacks in replacement of Von Miller. So shout out to him. The defense was playing lights out. The Cowboys got 2 garbage time touchdowns. They got 16 points. Dak did not look good. Still looked injured. Running backs, really, they couldn't even get the run established because they were down by so much. It was kind of hard to justify running the football. Malik Turner got 2 garbage time touchdowns. He's sort of been, not worthy of a waiver pickup in my eyes at all.
You're gonna know who the chump in your league is, whoever picks up Malik Turner.
Yeah, that's and we have Michael Gallup coming back too this week. I think.
Don't touch him with a 10-foot pole. Malik Turner with a 10-foot pole. No.
Right, exactly. This is a one and done type scenario. I can't see it happening again. But overall, obviously very disappointing for Cowboys fans. Going into that game, you think it's an automatic win, but they got absolutely stomped.
Yeah, the game was only decided by 14 points, but it wasn't remotely that close. Malik Turner, I think both of his touchdowns were in the fourth quarter. It's just, the Broncos playing backups at this point and just letting it happen. But dude, you nailed it with the Broncos running backs. I'm a big Javonte Williams fan just because of his youth and his talent over Melvin Gordon. I think you got to keep and start them both. Check out their matchups down the stretch here. It is just nothing but, free sledding. So
Yeah.
I would play both of them pretty confidently the rest of the year. So pretty happy with
Philly
them
this week, so I think that's a very good opportunity for them.
And Cortland Sutton, 3 straight stinkers after a strong start to the year. I think Judy coming back, it's really affected his target share, and they're leaning on the run game really hard. So I don't know, man. I have Sutton a lot, and I was loving it when he was eating when Judy was out, but I think I might have to set him down for a week and see what's going on.
I hear you there, man.
Yep. Any last thoughts on this game, guys?
If you're a Cowboys fantasy owner, I think, me and Rick always kind of say, there's like one game a week where if you have players on that team, you just like throw it in the trash. I think this is one of those for the Cowboys. I mean, you just absolutely dud out at home. It's not going to happen every week like this. You're not second guessing Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb or Zeke at this point. So don't do anything crazy and bench them just because they had one bad game.
Yeah,
even Dalton Schultz has kind of been a pretty safe play at tight end, at least to get you 9 to 10 points every week.
He's been unreal.
He's been good, man. He's been very good, under the radar guy.
Yeah, Rick always says nobody watches this guy.
He says he hates how he's always
he's wide open.
It is annoying, but look at how many weapons they have. Someone's got to be open, right?
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, so this is one of the big surprises for me, and I'm going to steal a line from Rick a couple of weeks ago. We're through week 9, and every time I think I know who the strong teams are in the NFL, it's changing, and I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Yeah. This is exactly what Rick said, and I agree with him. It's just crazy week to week. The parity in the league, or just the statement any given Sunday is really holding true this year, and we know that. Jake and I know that very well.
Yeah, we do.
All right, let's move on to the next game here, which is near and dear to your heart, Chris. I mean, and my son's heart as well. The Ravens take a 34-31 victory. This is their 3rd overtime game. Lamar Jackson just working his magic again. Chris, I don't know. This team is 6-2. They could easily be 4-4, but I just love how
they could easily be 2-6, Mike.
All right. I didn't want to go that bad, but I just love how they are just, Lamar puts that S on his chest and just wills his team to a victory. He will not stop at getting a win, and it's really special to watch. And in my opinion, right now, if the voting was to happen, he's top 3 MVP candidate in my book, at least. So let me throw this over to you, Chris, to talk about this.
Yeah, I probably can't argue with you at this point with the MVP statement there. His numbers quite aren't what they were, when he won MVP a few years ago. But then again, no one's numbers are there. But the guy just has the moxie that's just willing them to victory every week. It's pretty amazing. His first half and second half splits, don't have them on the top of my head. They're pretty crazy. The guy just cannot be stopped in the second half of a football game. It's unreal. But yeah, I mean, I think he's from South Florida, heading down there to play this week. I just think he's going to absolutely go off against this Dolphins team. So looking forward to getting to 7-2 and catching up with the Titans for top record in the AFC right now. Other players on the Ravens, Marquise Brown, I even as a fan of the team, I a little bit can't believe it. He's wide receiver 6.
It's crazy.
Yeah, wide receiver 6 on the year in PPR leagues, which I would have never guessed it. I thought he was better than, his outcome has been the past couple years, but there's no way I would have viewed him as a top 15 wide receiver option, especially on a run heavy team like this. But with all the Ravens injuries at running back, they have no choice but to kind of spread it out and get the ball down the field. And Marquise Brown has absolutely taken that leap this year. He's just a elite separator, and this wide receiver 6, he's dropped 3 touchdowns this year. So it could be even better than it is. So you're really happy if you drafted him, because you probably spent like a wide receiver 25 to 35 price on him, and you're getting, wide receiver 1 output. So the guy's playing incredible. Their running back situation, it's kind of interesting. Le'Veon Bell kind of looked really slow to me the past couple games, but then he actually didn't play bad at all this game. He was showing his patented, patientness behind the line, and then getting some really tough yards. And he was kind of who we used to grind out the clock at the end of the game. So, Le'Veon played really good, but Freeman is my go-to in fantasy. He's getting the work in the passing game, and he's the one that looks to have, the juice to be able to break, a 20, 30, 40-yard run. So I like Freeman a lot as a pickup this week if he was not already owned in your league. As for the Vikings, it's kind of an odd box score for them because, Dalvin Cook topped 100 yards, but he had a long run, like a 65-yard run or something like that. So other than that, he didn't really do a whole lot. He was just getting 3 yards here, 4 yards there. The Ravens were stopping the run pretty good. And Justin Jefferson had a long touchdown. And then other than that, he didn't really do a whole lot. So this was kind of an odd game because the Vikings scored a lot of points, but not a lot to show for it in the box score. One of their touchdowns came on the second half kickoff. They had a rookie. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
He's from Minnesota, something like that. No, where is he?
Actually, I don't know this one, Chris. I got a hand up. I don't actually know, which is bad because I'm usually pretty good at this. So
this guy, I play a lot of dynasty leagues, and I actually have him, and I did not start him. I have him in a couple leagues because he's like one of those hyper athletes that, just they're looking for a position and way to get him on the field and the ball in his hands. So I'm pretty pumped that maybe he could be like that Cordarrelle Patterson, Devin Hester type role. But anyway,
Adam Thielen with Mike Evans numbers, 2 for 6 and a touchdown.
Yeah, that was Mike Evans' numbers last year and Adam Thielen's numbers last year.
Yeah, yes, right.
Oh, and the touchdown, man, don't get me started. That was such a bad no call on that.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Webster's Dictionary version of pass interference, like the two showing all 10 fingers against the jersey and then being wide open and catching it. Yeah. So there was a lot of boo birds out for that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, I can't say the Ravens look strong. They just look like they have heart and a lot of guts so far. And Lamar is that leader that we all hoped he would turn into. So I think signs are looking up for the Ravens for the rest of the year.
You forgot the most important piece is Patrick Ricard. Guy's a stud. I mean, dude, come on.
Did he have all 3 of his catches on the same drive?
I think he did actually.
He's absolutely unreal. He's like, so those of you who don't know about, we call him Project Pat in Baltimore. He was drafted as a defensive tackle, and when 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and the Ravens were so deep back in the day with Brandon Williams, Michael Pierce. We're so deep in defensive line. Suggs was probably still here, so that we converted the guy to a fullback, and now he's just an absolute hammer of a 300-pound fullback that just clears the way for Lamar and our running backs. And what's going to be really cool this week, and this is like super nerdy football stuff and doesn't have much fantasy relevance, but Pat Ricard's been having a great year blocking for us, and we get Nick Boyle back this week, that's
huge.
Probably the best blocking tight end in the NFL. He hasn't played yet this year, so I would love to see what a linebacker is going to do when Ricard and Nick Boyle are coming at you. So Yeah, I think it's wheels up for the Ravens running game the rest of the year. I know they don't really have like a guy that they're leaning on, but Lamar is going to keep doing his thing on the ground, and Freeman is my pick if I had to pick one to kind of lead the way there.
I like that. Well, I'm sorry. Leave it to me to bring up fullbacks and blocking tight ends. I had to mention the guys because, man, like, got to give him some love. I mean, shoot, he's been a big piece. I think the Ravens are going to go down to Miami, and they're going to have a repeat of like 2 years ago when Lamar threw 6 touchdowns and RG3 came in and even threw a touchdown. It's going to be – actually, I don't want to curse you because I've done this every week with the Bills, and it's not paid off.
I was just going to say that.
I'm going to hold right there, Chris.
Yeah, I think that game was like 52-6 or something like that.
It was insane. Yeah. That was the opening game, right?
It was week 1. Yeah, I think the first play of the game, I'm having flashback. It was like an Ingram like 40-yard run, and then like Marquise Brown had the next play was a touchdown. It was pretty cool.
Yep. Crazy. Yeah, I feel good about this week for them. I think you nailed everything right on the head with everything that you said. Marquise Brown has been awesome. Mark Andrews still producing too. I mean,
yeah, and
guys are rolling. Rashad Bateman.
He had 2 incredible catches. He had 2 absolute highlight reel catches. One of them, Lamar threw it right to a defender, and then Bateman kind of comes out of nowhere and like undercuts the defender and makes an insane catch. And another one, he had a sick one-handed catch like a couple inches off the ground.
Yeah, he's filthy.
That guy is out of Minnesota. I will say he fell to pick whatever. Where were we? 27 in the first round. I'll call that falling because do you remember like his deal? So he was supposed to be like a easy top 10 pick, and everyone thought Minnesota listed him at 6'2", 210 pounds. And then when he went to the combine, he was 6 foot 195.
2 inches shorter.
They were like,
oh,
never mind. He's terrible at football. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So obviously not true.
All right,
I wonder if a Ravens personnel guy had something to do with that at the combine. Walked in there and he's like, "We have an eye on this guy."
Flex your knees a little bit.
Yeah, brilliant.
All right, so I mean, good teams. The saying is, good teams find a way to win. And I was telling my little son Jonah, man, I don't care if the Bills win by 1 or 30, as long as they get that W, and that's so important. And Lamar's making it happen for them, and it's so impressive to watch. So I get to see a lot of those games, and I got to tell you something, Chris, and this really hurt me this week. This was rough. So my son was begging me to be able to watch the Ravens game and for me to give up watching the Bills game. I didn't have a way to stream both of them. And then my wife jumped into that and made me feel guilty. She invited his friend over. So I had to sacrifice. I was listening to the game. I could get audio using Game Pass, and I was trying to watch it on the NFL site, but it wasn't the same. But I was able to watch it on the replay afterwards. But yeah, I had to give up my Sunday for the Ravens. And I told them, John, I'm sorry, that's a one-time thing this year. That will not happen again. Daddy cannot go through that. So it was actually interesting.
Mike, you didn't want to watch that game. Trust me.
You know what?
He might have done you a favor.
I did watch it, though. I had to watch it afterwards. But anyhow, good stuff there.
Since we're entering the holiday season, I have to give you a quote from one of my favorite movie ever, Christmas Vacation. Mike, you're the last true family man.
I love that. And that is so true. As a Buffalonian diehard Bills fan, for you to do that, Mike, that is ultimate act of selflessness right there.
They could tell I was not the happiest, but anyhow, I had a sacrifice. So
incredible.
Good stuff. Anyhow, let's move on to the biggest surprise of the weekend for me and Jake as well. And don't adjust your television sets. That is not a typo. Yes, the Jaguars. Buffalo goes to Jacksonville and loses 9-6. I mean, we don't even put a touchdown on the board. And I gotta look before I throw this over to Jake. Got some interesting facts here. So I looked at the worst upsets since 1990, where the spread was 14 or more. This ranked number 6 since 1990. But more interesting than that, the Bills have 4 of those 19. They're involved in 4 of those 19 biggest upsets.
Wow.
So Three of them,
It's
of
unreal.
course, on the bad side of it, right, where they were upset. One bit dating back to 1992, one in both two games in 1992, where they were both 16 and 17-point favorites, and they lost that game. One was to the Jets, and one was to the Colts. And then, of course, this past week. But the only one they were on the positive side of it was back in 2019 when they upset the Vikings, where they were 16 and a half point underdogs. So crazy stuff there. Apparently, they like to be part of this thing going on. But Jake, I'm gonna throw it to you. We talked about this, and we had a lot of therapy after the game. I'm not sure we're still over it, but we're moving on to the Jets. But let me throw it to you. Talk about this game.
You're bringing this up again. All right. So, yeah, the biggest disappointment that I've experienced in quite some time. I mean, wow. Mike, I don't know how you lasted through 4 Super Bowls. I am struggling with regular season losses, and this is obviously this is different. I mean, this is a team that we were 14 and a half point favorites over, and we didn't even combine. We combined for 15 points between both teams. Like, what the heck happened between both of our teams? I mean, our defense actually played lights out, to be honest, but our offense looks bad, and it starts up front. Obviously, we talked about that a little bit in our show. Josh Allen can't play hero ball all the time. He can't just do everything himself, and he needs a little bit of help. 3 turnovers, that's rough. Anyone who owns Josh Allen in fantasy right now is really hurting. Thank God he can run the football and he can get you some rushing yards and some rushing TDs, because otherwise, I don't know where he would. I mean, actually, statistically, I did look at this, and actually Mike sent me this today. His stats for this year and last year, 8 games in, are the exact, pretty much not the exact same, but they're very close. So maybe it's just our expectations that are higher. So we didn't expect what Josh Allen was going to do last year. But if you really look at it, I mean, they're very close. I think he's got 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year, and last year at this time he had 15 touchdowns and like 4 picks or something like that. Pretty similar.
He's
Almost
QB3 on the year in fantasy.
Yeah, which a lot of people think that's weird because we're not seeing it in his play. And I think what happens with him is he'll have like a monster game, and then the week after that he regresses and only puts up like 9 points. So it's so weird how the schedule's been this year and how we've played as an offense. We just can't get consistency across the board. I think the biggest disappointment too for a lot of receiver people who like to take a guy and roll the dice a little bit, Stephon Diggs. I mean, he was probably taken way earlier than he should have been in a lot of fantasy drafts. Still had 6 for 86. 6 for 85, 6 for 86 this week. He's getting decent numbers, but not near what he was producing last year. And obviously you kind of expect that because teams are going to key in on him and whatnot. But you see it with our other guys. Emmanuel Sanders has kind of been a huge surprise for fantasy owners. He puts up a goose egg the week before, and then this week he has 4 for 65, which is okay. We'll take it. And then Cole Beasley, 8 for 33.
That's an odd line.
That is insane. Like, wow. I mean, every pass that we threw to him, he was pretty much falling to the ground. I mean, you could tell he's banged up. He's got something going on with his ribs. Hopefully it's not too serious. We'll see if he actually plays this week. But yeah, I mean, and then our running backs are just at first, and I think you even mentioned this, Chris, Zach Moss was decently reliable almost because he was still getting into the end zone in fantasy. And now I don't trust either of our backs. I don't trust him in general. I think we got to activate Matt Breida, especially with the types of runs that we're trying to do.
What's up with Moss? Is he going to play this week?
I don't know. He's got a concussion, but yeah, that's still up in the air, I think. I don't know if they've officially ruled him out or not just yet. So waiting to hear an update there. But yeah, Matt Breida could potentially be a guy to look at. Even we were mentioning Antonio Williams, bringing him up from the practice squad. He ran really well in the last couple of games last season too. So another option, but he's kind of similar build to Zach Moss, short and stockier. So I don't know. I just think we got to mix it up a little bit. Our offense is hurting a lot. And like I said, it starts up front. Cody Ford, lucky to have a job still, to be honest. And I hate crapping on players because obviously there's a reason they're playing on the field and I'm sitting in my man cave right now. But man, we got to figure that out. I mean, our offensive line is not doing well with him in the lineup at all. So yeah, just a lot of things to digest with this one. With the Jags, Jamal Agnew, I think he continues to remain a fantasy threat. He could be a very good pickup for teams that are looking for a guy to fill in during a bye week as a flex potentially. He adds return value, obviously. And actually, he almost had a touchdown this past week on a deep play. I think it was CJ Beathard, who threw that pass deep to him and he dropped it. But man, that was actually the best throw of the day, probably. Insane.
Jamal Agnew's been more Laviska Shenault than Laviska Shenault has been.
I thought Laviska was going to put up like 98 for a low 1,000 yard year or something wild, and he just hasn't been it.
No.
Marvin Jones really was non-existent, which I thought that would happen. Trey White being draped all over him. So played pretty good coverage, but James Robinson, it looks like he's going to be playing this week, which is good news for them. So obviously always a play. I think he's definitely RB2, RB1 scenario all the time. Our Trevor Lawrence didn't do anything. I mean, passing yard wise, I think he threw for 100 and it was low 100s. Yeah, 118 yards. Yeah. So really, there's not many options on Jacksonville. I would say Jamal
Dan
Agnew.
Arnold's been stopped.
Dan Arnold, he had that
ever
nice
since that
catch.
trade. He's kind of their number one receiver.
4 for 60. Yeah, he had a really nice
monster
catch, actually.
game.
Yeah, seriously.
But
yeah, I mean, this game it was rough. If you have the Bills defense, you're loving it. If you have Tyler Bass, you're probably loving it too. If you're playing in a kicker league, I actually removed kickers in all my leagues, so it's just totally irrelevant. But I wish I had them because it would have given me some points. But yeah, it was just a rough week for me. And I don't know if you have any other comments, Chris.
I was gonna say I think Josh Allen was the best player on the field, and I mean the one on Jacksonville.
Yes, that's correct. Number 41, Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen. Yeah.
Other than that, I had to do the Josh Allen zinger. Sorry about that. It was just
okay.
It was sitting there on my tongue for like.
Yeah, I mean, I asked for it, so it's all right.
No, I was gonna say I forgot to tell you guys I had a huge blockbuster trade last week that involved a Buffalo Bill, and I forgot to bring it up.
Okay.
This trade was offered to me. Someone offered me to give me Keenan Allen. I was hurting wide receiver, and they wanted Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Tyler Bass.
Wow. Let's go. Let's go. Okay.
So, I hate giving away, Tyler Bass because he's been so damn good. But, man, I had to get me some Keenan. So
he went off. He had like 12 for...
Yeah, it felt pretty weird. I don't think I've ever opened a trade offer in my life where a kicker's involved. So that was
awesome.
Usually people don't, trade those back and forth.
The guy's a threat. He's a weapon himself. I mean, have you seen how much swag he has too? He has one eye black. He wears Nike Air Monarchs. I mean, the guy is unreal. He's fun.
Him and Justin Tucker should have a swag off.
Yes. I love Justin. Opera singer too. I mean, that's legit, man. Love it.
All right. Well, I think we've covered this game. We especially covered a lot on Sunday. And I do want to say every game, any given Sunday, we're not taking the Jets lightly anymore. And I'm glad, Jake, you stopped your prediction or your thoughts when you were talking about that Dolphin game.
Yeah, I'm not giving that juju to Chris.
What you just said, Chris, we said the exact same thing about the Bills at home. And, I mean, that game was a lot closer than it ended up being. So I wish you the best. I think Lamar is going to work his magic, but I'm going to predict a closer score. That's all I'm doing all year long now. I'm just predicting close scores, and when there's a big blowout, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'll go like 34-17 Ravens.
Okay.
Feels about right.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. All right, the Falcons and the Saints. Here's another surprise for me. 27-25. The Falcons go into New Orleans and pull this one off. I mean, Matt Ryan looking pretty good, putting up some good numbers. And the guy you've talked about a lot this year, Chris, Cordell Patterson, not doing it in the running game, but doing it in the receiving side of things. So let me throw it over to you to talk about this game a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's about time I take my L on the Falcons. I've been waiting, and 4-4 is enough. I've seen enough. I'll admit I was dead wrong on the Falcons this year. I don't even have to go back and look at the over-under show we did, Mike. I can already tell you I took the under on the Falcons. I just know I did, because I just thought Ryan was washed up. And besides Ridley, they weren't going to have much of anything going on. Mike Davis, I wouldn't dare draft him if you begged me to. And Kyle Pitts was 20 years old when the season started. So I was like, he'll take a year or two to develop. Boy, was I wrong. The Falcons are 1 game behind the Saints. Are you kidding me? Like, this can't be real life. I just still refuse to believe it. But you know what? I'm taking my L. I was wrong on the Falcons. I don't know how the hell they're good. Even with Calvin Ridley out. I mean, this is mind-blowing to me. They're taking a 10-year veteran special teamer, and he's, what is he on the year? Let me see here. He's wide receiver 5. Cordell Patterson's wide receiver 5.
That's insane.
Wow.
I don't even know. And I'm taking the L on him too. This is just Chris coming clean show. I said after week 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, I said, if you have Cordell Patterson, can you please do me a huge favor and flip him for a reliable asset? This is not going to keep up. I'm wrong. I'm wrong there. So I don't think this has ever happened before. I mean, how many times have we seen like a 9 or 10-year veteran who is primarily a special teamer just absolutely go ape shit and be a top 10 fantasy option? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I can't think of another option. Anyway, yeah, you said it, Mike. Matt Ryan continues to roll. He's been playing pretty well, even absence of Calvin Ridley. Hope Calvin the best. I hope he can take the time away that he needs and comes back and can get back to football eventually. So thinking about him. But yeah, Kyle Pitts didn't have a great game this week, but I think he's top 3, top 4 tight end moving forward. And if you're playing Dynasty League, it's really hard to argue him not being tight end 1 in Dynasty at this point. I know Kelsey's an absolute beast, and so is Kittle and Waller. But I think with age into the question, with all those guys being 27 or older, I think Pitts is just the easy pick for tight end 1 in Dynasty formats. So, okay, enough about the Falcons. The Saints.
How about AJ Terrell, corner for the Falcons? That guy is a top 5 corner, in my opinion. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm done. I'll let you keep going.
No, I dig that. So he's Clemson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
that guy's unreal, man. He's been locked down.
My fiance went to Clemson, so I heard a lot of cheering. Yeah, when he got picked. I feel like he was picked almost a little bit higher than in the draft than people thought. That turned out to be a great pick. So the Falcons defense has been surprisingly good. They're young, they're fast, so they've been doing pretty solid. But with the Saints, I don't know about you, but I was a little bit surprised that Trevor Siemian started. It just makes me think that the QB controversy at the beginning of the year was bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because when Jameis goes out, why is Taysom not the insta starter?
Automatic.
I just don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand. So I play.
I believe he was hurt that game, but I mean, even so, I mean, why? 140. What was it? It was a monster contract that he signed too. I mean, it's crazy to me. Keep going. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
No, you're good. I just when I saw Jameis got hurt, I play in a lot of 2 QB leagues, and I was running to waiver wire, faster than I could move to get Taysom Hill. I said, this is, he's not a great quarterback, but he puts up the running numbers and he's a goal line threat. I'm all over this guy, and I got him everywhere I could. And then he doesn't even start. I'm pretty confused by this, but I don't know, man. The Saints offense is not much to hang your hat on other than Kamara in terms of fantasy football production. None of the receivers, they all seem to have a semi-decent week, and they take turns doing it. The tight end Troutman's kind of coming around a little bit. I'm not saying he's a start, but in Dynasty, he's an interesting look. And other than Kamara, I think their second best player, watching this game was Mark Ingram. the guy has something left in the tank. So it's cool watching him go back to New Orleans where he played all those years. And he's just super pumped to play football every week. I mean, the guy, I loved him as a Raven. He's like, I don't know if you heard, like the Ravens have a motto like big trust.
Yeah, I was just saying big trust, baby.
Yeah. So Ingram, he kind of came up with that. Him and Jackson, that was their thing. It's just, he's such a, breath of fresh air to watch play football. Just because, he's a, I don't know, 30, 31-year-old veteran. And the guy just, every run, it could be a 4-yard run, and he gets up and he just has a huge smile on his face. Yeah. And he's just like, let's go. So I don't know. I just, sometimes like the personal aspects of football, I really like watching that. So that's about all I got for this one. I was just so floored that the Falcons won this game. I was, this one had, in my mind, had like 24-10 Saints written all over it, but good on the Falcons. I don't think they're going to be a threat to make the playoffs, but I'm honestly, if you told me they won 4 games for the whole year, I'd say that's about right.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe 8-9, 9-8 for them this year. They're not going to make it, but they're gonna try. I will say this: I am not a fan of Mark Ingram wearing number 14. It just looks so freaking weird. Lev Bell with 17.
It's
not
ugly.
A fan of the number changes this year with the NFL allowing that. I think it's so stupid. This is not college. This is NFL football. You have a regimen. I'm more of a traditionalist with the NFL with the numbers and all that too. I don't even like the linebackers wearing the 40s. Like, not a fan of that by any means, but it is what it is. But he's so much fun to watch play. I mean, anyone who has passion like that, even like people shit on Cam Newton all the time. I love Cam Newton, man. He played with so much energy. He had so much fun playing. Like, how could you hate that? That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that human side of him, the human element. It just makes him more of a relatable player too. So he might actually have a big week this week if Alvin Kamara is not good to go either.
Yeah. So I was going to say, shit, I'm looking to pick him up even if Kamara is healthy. I think, he had almost as many carries as Kamara, and we know Kamara's, involved more in the passing game. But hold on, let me check. I feel like Ingram had 5 catches.
I was going
to say there too, man. I think he wasn't used super heavily in Houston earlier in the year, so I think he's got some juice left, and he's definitely revitalized being back in New Orleans. So I like him as a pickup this week, especially if Kamara is out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, the more you talk about Ingram, the sadder you're making me, because Jake and I talked about potential guys that we might go after before the trade deadline. Yeah,
he would be our best running back by far.
Oh man, I mean, to have that leadership, and then like you said, we struggle with like 4th and 1s. This is a guy who's gonna get you a 4th and 1. We just can't seem to get something like that. So yeah, we talked about his leadership and bringing him over for 1 year. I mean, yeah, you made me sad there, Chris. So please stop talking about him now. Final thoughts on that one, guys? We good there? Or any final thoughts, Jake, that you have?
No, I think I'm good. I think you're spot on with saying Kyle Pitts too. Number 1, tight end 1 for sure. I mean, especially in dynasty leagues, and he's such a big play guy, but he has such easy drops too at the same time. So he's kind of having like a Dawson Knox syndrome right now. So if he could figure that out, that guy's going to be insane. He's going to put up some crazy numbers.
I heard a crazy stat on the radio this morning. So Kyle Pitts is a tight end, right? How many times through 9 weeks so in 9 weeks, they played 8 games. How many times in 8 games has Kyle Pitts pass blocked? How many plays?
Ooh. Pass block. Wow. I'm going to say 2.
It was 8.
Okay, I was going to say, I know it's got to be a single-digit number because he's never in pass protect ever.
Yeah, so I think we can thank the fantasy gods that for some reason Kyle Pitts is listed as a tight end. And I honestly, I was thinking, maybe this is like, I'm trying to big brain too much, but I feel like Kyle Pitts is such an advantage right now because you
Yeah.
can play him as a tight end. If he was a receiver, he'd still be good, right? But he's not like an elite player and receiver. He's a wide receiver 2 or 3, right? What if this year, you know, people go all in acquiring Pitts in dynasty leagues, and then next year all the fantasy sites say the guy doesn't play tight end.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's a receiver.
That would be.
Oh, talk about taking a big blow because you're spending up on him to use him at tight end.
Tight end, yeah. That's actually a very good point. That's very interesting. And actually, I was going to go a step further here. You're talking about pass pro for the Falcons and Kyle Pitts and whatnot. Well, the guy who is in pass pro and why they signed this guy, Lee Smith, former Buffalo Bill, one of the other better blocking tight ends in the league. He gives Nick Boyle a run for his money for sure. So that is their guy, their blocking tight end, Kyle Pitts. Yeah, just let him run free and catch passes.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know how the fantasy sites define positions. You know, they have Cordarrelle Patterson at dual position eligibility. You can play him at running back or wide receiver, which makes him that much more valuable. But I'll be curious to see next year what they do with Pitts because
what are they going to do with Taysom Hill too? Is he going to still be quarterback? I mean,
he barely plays quarterback. He's a tight end.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, guys, we're going to fit in one more game before we get to the waiver wire. And Jake, I'm going to put you on the clock here. About 3 minutes to talk about this next game. Another not a big surprise for me, but Cleveland 41-16. I mean the difference in the game, how big the score was. I mean, this is the Bengal team that made the Ravens look pretty bad a few weeks ago, and I was starting to think, oh my gosh, this is a real contender. And then they come back and lose to the Jets, and now they get blown out to Cleveland. So talk to me a little bit about this team in this game.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Cleveland's run game has been the story of their winning success, and I hope everyone stashed Dearness Johnson on their roster because it looks like he might be the guy this week, barring that Nick Chubb and Demetric Felton don't, you know, as long as if they're still COVID positive or whatever. I don't even know what the actual protocol is. What is it? 24 hours before they get 2 negative tests.
It depends if they're vaxxed or not. Right. So Chubb is vaxxed. So if he gets 2 negative tests more than 24 hours apart, he's then good to go.
And he's good. Yeah. But anyways, Dearness Johnson might be a valuable play this week anyways. We'll see what happens there. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Wow. Nice, big catch for a touchdown. I think it was like a 60-yarder from Baker. I mean, Baker showed that he could still sling it a little bit, so that was fun. David Njoku even got in the end zone. Definitely not a reliable fantasy target, in my opinion, but was nice to see.
Love to I actually have him free.
I know. I have him stashed on my Dynasty League roster right now, and I don't know what to do with him.
Keep him one more year. See where he ends up.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. It's such an interesting thing with him because I felt like he was going to be unreal, man. Like, he has the athleticism. Like, you can spread him out, and he can make some catches. He can make contested catches, but they just don't use him, and they run the ball so damn effectively. Why would you? So Jarvis Landry had like 3 for 11. He didn't do much at all. Other guys, really, I mean, those were your main guys last week. As far as the Browns offense goes, the defense stepped up in a huge way, only allowing the Bengals to 16 points. Joe Burrow threw a couple interceptions, made him look human. Jamar Chase didn't do much at all. CJ Uzama didn't do anything. T. Higgins across the board. I mean, that offense was kind of struggling quite a bit. So, it was a pretty interesting game. Not a whole lot to say, obviously, about them, but
Denzel Ward with the huge pick 6 on the goal line.
Guy's unreal. Yeah,
dude. As a Ravens fan, I absolutely dread when we play the Browns because he just owns us. Like he just covers up our best receiver so well. So, but dude, I'm glad you gave Donovan Peoples-Jones a shout out on our preseason sleepers episode. He was my guy. Absolutely love him. I have a soft spot for people that are good and go to Michigan and don't do anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like the Jim Harbaugh effect. I feel so bad for that guy because he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. He absolutely has every single physical tool you need to be an elite number 1 receiver. So I'm really glad that he's made a couple splash plays this year.
Love it, man.
So any final thoughts on that game, Chris, from your side?
No, man, just that Jamar Chase had a down game, but 13 targets don't.
A lot of targets.
I mean, the
Yeah.
guy and T Higgins hitting his stride too. We called T Higgins a buy low 2 or 3 weeks ago on the show, and he's really starting to get healthy and show out. He's easily their number 2 receiver over Boyd at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good information, guys. Let's jump into the waiver wire. So let's start with quarterbacks, and I'll start with you, Chris.
Yeah, so someone asked a question right when the show started and kind of stole this one already. They wanted to know about streaming QBs this week, and Jake and I both had the exact same answer, that if Derek Carr is available in your league, I think you're starting him over a lot of people that you would actually typically start. I don't do weekly rankings or anything like that, but I gotta feel Derek Carr is like top 8.
I agree. He always plays big against the Chiefs, man. Yeah, he always puts up numbers.
Derek Carr is a slam dunk streamer this week. And the other 2 that we mentioned in deeper leagues are Tua and Taylor Heineke. You got any more?
I don't. I actually don't. It was hard to find quarterbacks for this week. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Derek Carr, I think he's absolutely a slam dunk, especially with the Chiefs D this year.
I'll throw one more out there because he's probably not owned very many places. And he played pretty good this past week, and the upside's this high. Justin Fields.
I thought about that. Okay.
He's been so bad though until this week.
Right. And it's hard to trust him.
The Bears should have won that game against the Steelers. I was pissed off.
Cassius Marsh, man, the ref butt checking him like that.
Dude, that guy, he gets fired, right? I mean, I feel like you have to fire that
100%. Ref. It's Tony Correnti though. That's the problem. He's been in the league for so many years, so they're not going to. I don't even know. I'm not sure if he
had the flag in his hand already, and then
he was just waiting.
Yeah,
trash.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Chris, I got a question for you. Since we're not getting a lot of questions, I have one for you. So okay. I've been holding on this guy. I mean, I'm in a 2 quarterback league where you start 2 quarterbacks every week, and I have Sam Darnold, and he's been, got off to a great start. He's been trash, but there's really no one available in my league at all. What do you think the upside is with him, with McCaffrey coming back?
PJ Walker.
So I think PJ Walker's starting this week.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so you need to sprint to your waiver wire right now and pick up PJ Walker. It's because of injury, though, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Darnold's injured, right? So I don't know what they're going to do once Darnold's healthy. But, Mike, pretty much no matter what, you need to clear a roster spot for PJ Walker. He's a really athletic quarterback with a lot of running upside. So, if there's no other starters available, I would say check and see if Mike White's there or PJ Walker. But in 2 QB leagues, there's almost never a starting QB available unless there's an injury and you can scoop someone up. Also, since you said your league's really thin, you could definitely do worse than stashing Taysom Hill.
So
in case.
Let me tell you this I don't know. I even forgot I did this. So I did see that, and I did pick up P. Walker. So I do have him on the bench there. So I don't know.
He's a poor man's Russell Wilson. Mike.
Oh man, I forgot I even did this. I don't know when I saw that information come across, but I did reach out and get him. So apparently,
nice.
check for Taysom Hill just in case, because. So I just a real quick just about fantasy football strategy. I feel like the bench is a weapon that not enough players use. On my bench, I don't really want people that, oh yeah, this guy's really good at scoring 7, 8, 9 points. I want someone that if something breaks right, he's an absolute, you gotta start him. That's what I want on my bench. If I need, I want 6 of those guys on my bench. And if I have an injury and then I need to fill in, then that's fine. I'll just drop one of my, dart throw players on my bench and pick up, Cole Beasley, or pick up Hunter Renfrow, someone who's going to get me my, 8 to 12 points, and I can just go on with life. So just a hint for you and other players out there, make sure your bench is just littered with high upside people that if something breaks their way, that, they're automatically in your lineup.
What do you do with Corey Davis? That's my question.
Talk about him in like 3 minutes when we talk about wide receiver waivers.
Okay. We'll save that one then. We'll table it.
I will say this, Chris, based on the information you and Rick have been giving me, I know you kind of beat me up in the draft after my draft on my quarterbacks, but 8-1, man. 8-1. And I have Jake to blame for my one loss. I'm just throwing that out there. We can talk about that another day. But 8-1, and again, a lot of the information you've been giving me has just been saving me. So awesome stuff. Thank you so much.
Mike, that's pretty impressive considering you didn't even know it was a 2 QB league.
I did not.
That's awesome, Mike. I love that, man.
Well, what worked out, though, is I got stud running backs because I was taking the running backs, and all these people are jumping on quarterbacks. I got Najee Harris. I got Christian McCaffrey. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I got Swift. Wow. This Swift I had never heard about until you mentioned him. I mean, those three guys are killing it for me. So,
and you played most of the year without McCaffrey.
Yeah, exactly. So now he's coming back. I didn't realize he was. I was playing it safe. I didn't put him in last week, but good to go with him this week. So let's go. All right, let's get into running backs, guys. I'll start with you, Jake. Anybody on the waiver wire running back?
I mentioned Dearness Johnson. Obviously, I hope if anyone did pick him up previously that they kept him because there's a chance that he plays this week. Another guy, Demetric Felton, another guy to consider. I don't know if he'll play because I know he was one of those guys with Nick Chubb who had also tested positive. I was looking at a couple other guys. Really, Benjamin, that was another guy. He absolutely ran over Drake Kirkpatrick. Dude, I don't know if you saw that. Holy smokes.
That was a top 5 highlight on the year.
Wow. Yeah, that guy's good, man. He's the real deal. Now, James Conner, he's going to be taking majority of the carries, I think, but Eno serves as like the Chase Edmonds of that team. So definitely an intriguing pickup as well. So I don't really have anyone else outside of those three. I sort of base this on like deeper leagues because I'm looking at a lot of my leagues and the guys that I'm in leagues with are just vultures. They pick up everyone and we have extra bench spots and stuff too. So those are my thoughts. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, not much going in those deeper leagues. I'm so glad you mentioned Benjamin on our sleeper show. I think I gave him as like I promise you've never heard of this player, sleeper to keep an eye on. The guy was an absolute stud in college and Arizona State, I think.
Yep, yeah. Arizona State guy.
And he's just absolutely built like a tank. He's like trying to think who he's similar to. He's like a 5'7", but he's 210 pound, just will absolutely truck your ass. Great pass catcher too. He literally will fit in the Chase Edmonds role so perfectly. And he offers more on the ground than Chase Edmonds does. As we've already saw, he's played, I think he's only dressed in 2 or 3 games this year and doesn't have many touches, but they give him the ball and he absolutely performs right away. I love Benjamin with Chase Edmonds, probably going to be out 3, 4, 5 weeks. So, you're picking him up and going to get to play him for a couple weeks. So James Conner just jumps to, borderline RB1 territory now with
so many touchdowns.
I know, dude, he's unreal.
Crazy. Yeah.
But some other ones. I mentioned Freeman on the Ravens earlier. I like him more than Bell. If you're trying to pick between the two, he's just getting the passing game work. One game that we didn't get to cover today, and it's just absolutely throwing me for a loop. I hate to say this, Jordan Howard.
Okay. 2 games back to back.
After the first game, I think I said it last week. I said, don't believe it. Don't believe it.
Yeah.
Wow. He had 17 carries and looked good doing it. And he outran Bart Scott and Kenneth Gainwell. Gainwell had 2 carries. What is going on?
Yeah, what the heck happened to Kenny Gainwell, man?
Dude, I blew all the fab really hard like 2 weeks ago on him. But yeah, the Eagles, it's like they are just so frustrating fantasy wise right now. I know Devontae Smith had a good game, but they just have decided we're running the ball 50 times. If you would like to try to stop us, maybe you'll win.
Yeah.
But so I think Howard and Boston Scott are both viable pickups. And I'm not totally giving up on Gainwell yet, but I'm really close. But my last running back I want to mention, just because I saw he's available in over 50% of Yahoo leagues, and it makes 0 sense to me. Alexander Madison.
I was going to say, okay, I'm glad you went there. Nice.
Okay. He's literally the most perfect fantasy football player to have, because guess what? 9 times out of 10, you don't even have to remotely consider starting him. If Dalvin Cook plays, you do not play him. If Dalvin Cook misses, which he's literally could miss the rest of his career if what they're saying about him is true. We'll see how his legal stuff plays out. But you know what? I wrote down my waiver stuff before the Dalvin Cook thing. So I'm not even playing into the Dalvin Cook stuff. Players like Alexander Madison, where if the main back goes down and they are literally guaranteed 20 fantasy points, they have to be on your bench. And the fact that he's available in more than 50% of leagues makes zero sense. So
that is insane.
Yeah. Please go get him. And even more so now, I'm imagining if your waivers haven't run yet and he is available, I mean, you should spend every dollar. If you do a fab league, every dollar you have, leave $0 left because you have to get him.
Yeah. I'm checking right now to make sure he's I'm pretty sure he's taken in all my leagues, but yeah, I mean, that's unreal. It's insane. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Jermar Jefferson for the Lions?
Yeah, so he was a nice prospect coming out of college. He was absolutely probably the worst performer at the combine. He weighed in short and underweight and slow. He ran like a 4.8 or something stupid.
It was really bad.
But yeah, he mega producer in college, just had no measurables to put against it. So he went undrafted. Or did he go 7th round?
He was actually almost Mr. Irrelevant. I think he was 257 or something like that. He was a late pick. I know that.
Yeah.
But I know he had scored a couple weeks. Maybe it was a garbage. I think it was
garbage. Yeah.
Never mind. Because I got excited. I'm like, shoot, Jermar Jefferson, maybe, and the Lions running back situation. Who the hell knows? I mean, DeAndre Swift, obviously, but like, I don't know, man. He's banged up all the time, so it's just intriguing to me. Like, maybe that's an option there, but probably not.
Super deep stash, but if we're going off another J name, who I think is a good running back stash, Jarrett Patterson on the Redskins.
Baby. Yes.
So Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Antonio Gibson is one of the I'm literally so curious to see what they do with him this week, because they just came off the bye week, and he's been dealing with the shin splints or hairline fracture, whatever the heck you want to call it, in his leg. I'm so intrigued to see if he's better, because he's running on one leg the past 3 or 4 weeks, and Jarrett is Jarrett Patterson, right? Yeah,
Jarrett Patterson. Yep.
Yeah, he had more carries than Gibson the last game they played together. So
he's nice, man. He's good.
Yeah, he's a good player, and McKissick is firmly in the receiving role. So I think Patterson's a sneaky stash this week if you have an extra bench spot and you don't need to play a player, because I think there's just this off chance that Gibson practices this week and he says, "Coach, I'm not right still, even after the bye," and they say, "Dude, hang it up," because he's too talented and the Redskins suck too bad to keep running him out there. I mean, the guy could like break his leg at any given time. So
yeah, right.
Jarrett Patterson, if you're in a
I like that.
And you have a bench spot. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Beautiful.
So we ran a little long with the running backs, so I'm going to keep you to just a couple minutes each on the wide receivers. So let's start with you, Jake. Any wide receivers you want to throw out there?
So I mentioned Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore. We talked about early on in the show, absolutely. And then I mentioned Corey Davis too, another Jet. I don't know what to do with him right now. What do you think, Chris, about Corey Davis?
Corey Davis was showing the vibe with Zach Wilson big time at the beginning of the year. I mean, he was a very pleasant surprise. And so I like Corey Davis as a stash. He's been banged up. Zach Wilson's been out, but I think Zach Wilson just absolutely loves him. But, for my money, I just feel, all things considered, Elijah Moore is the number 2 waiver pickup of the week behind Madison. He's just, he was a high 2nd round pick in the NFL draft this year, super fast, super productive at Ole Miss. I just think you got to take a shot on him if he's there. So
Russell Gage, is he viable too? I mean, this is the guy that I screwed Mike on, because he needed someone in a pinch, and it was between Russell Gage and our guy, Gabriel Davis. And of course, Gabe Davis scores a touchdown, and Russell Gage puts up a goose egg. Is he worth picking up? That was another guy I had thought about.
Atlanta's interesting. Gage, I think he had an RA game, but Olamide Zacchaeus, he had 2 touchdowns.
Wow. Yeah.
He's an interesting player out of Virginia. So I think Gage and Zacchaeus are both, interesting ads if you're in a deeper league. Gage is a solid PPR guy.
Okay.
But I know you got to go, Mike. So
sorry, Mike.
Yeah, it's I just think for tight end, if anyone dropped Dawson Knox, you got to go get
Love
him.
that.
They better not have dropped Dawson Knox.
Better not have. And Pat Fryermuth, great call. That's a good one. He has 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks. He was playing the Bears defense, which surrenders like 0.0 points to tight ends. Guy doesn't care. He's an absolute stud.
Cole Kmet maybe too. There's a name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
All right. So I think we got through wide receivers and tight ends. So good stuff there. Let's see here. So closing thoughts. I mean, we didn't have a lot of questions this week. So folks, if you're not catching this live, put the questions in the comments. I promise you, we watch these things all the time, and we will get back to you. So please put those comments out there, and we'll get you some of those questions answered. Chris, final thoughts?
Just that excited to get down to Florida tomorrow morning, watch the Ravens beat down the Dolphins, help you guys out in the AFC East, and we need a bounce back week from the Bills. So I my heart went out to you guys to lose to the Jags, and not only lose to them, but on 9-6. I mean, who the heck wants to think about that for a whole week?
Ooh, you're telling me. We had actually a couple Jags fans jump in on the channel late, and they were pretty nice. I mean, they were like, we still think you guys. One of them said, "We still think you're a Super Bowl contender, but just our day today. We'll see." I'm not taking any game lightly anymore. Like I said, every game I predict, we always do a prediction at the end of the show with Jake, and mine are going to be 3 points, 7 points at the most. I'm just keeping it low. It's not going to be a big difference. Jake. So appreciate you helping us out.
Thanks,
week.
man.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You did
good stuff.
Fantastic job. I gotta say, this was fun. Jake, any final thoughts for you?
I think Chris, you are the go-to guy. You and Rick, you guys are the go-to guys for fantasy. I appreciate the heck out of what you guys do. I am very emotional when it comes to picking my fantasy players. So you guys present a lot of logic behind the reasoning on why you start different players. You're very, very knowledgeable about that stuff. So appreciate you kind of carrying me here, because I'm just throwing guys' names out there. I just love talking football. Even brought in fullbacks and tight ends, which are
Pat Ricard
tight ends. Totally irrelevant for fantasy. So that's the type of guy that I am with this stuff. So no, appreciate you guys having me. It's going to be a huge week. I think both of our teams are going to get a victory. Not going to say by how many, but I feel good about this week for the both of us. So have fun in Florida, man. Enjoy.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Jake's the type of guy, when we talk, we always talk impact players for the game. He throws out punters. So I mean, and he knows so much about these punters. It just like, where did you get that information? So pretty fun stuff. Chris,
special teams guru, love it.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Like I said, you've been helping me. I got into my draft real late. I had 12 hours, and did not realize it was a 2-quarterback league. And I just been listening to you guys, and again, it's 8-1. The results show that this works. So again, everyone, thank you for who did jump out on the channel, and we did have the 1 or 2 questions. Appreciate you very much. Hit that subscribe button for us. Hit that like, hit that share, hit that comment. We announced the winner of the Josh Allen helmet on our pregame show this past Sunday. It was super cool. They all were on our show. We actually had 2 brothers, 2 former Navy men. Actually, one's getting out of the Navy, one's a former Navy. So that was super cool. And we hope to do more giveaways in the future. And the way we can do that is by you hitting that subscribe button. So thank you, Chris. Safe travels for you. Jake, I'll see you Sunday. So everybody, have a great one. Thank you.
All righty. Later.
Go Bills.